Good morning. For weeks, a Norfolk, Massachusetts courtroom has been the focus of a gripping legal drama, the trial of Karen Reed, a case that has captured the attention of the entire nation and left the local community on edge. Reed stands accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, who was found dead in the snow outside a home in January 2022, a tragedy that shocked both the police force and the public. The case has sparked national debate, with supporters fiercely divided over what happened that night. Outside the courthouse, crowds have gathered daily, some demanding justice for O'Keefe, others insisting on Reed's innocence. Now, after weeks of emotional testimony and heated arguments, the jury faces the daunting task of deciding her fate, a decision that will have lasting consequences for everyone involved. The prosecution claims Reed, angry and intoxicated after a night out, struck O'Keefe with her SUV and left him to die in the freezing cold, painting a picture of a tragic accident fueled by rage. The defense, however, argues she's the victim of a cover-up, framed by people inside the house that night, including members of law enforcement, suggesting a conspiracy to protect their own. Closing arguments have been delivered, each side urging the jury to see the case their way, highlighting the stakes and the deep uncertainty that still surrounds the events of that night. The evidence is complex. Text messages, voicemails, a broken taillight, and cell phone data, all pieces of a puzzle that the jury must now put together, searching for the truth amid conflicting stories. Witnesses ranged from first responders who arrived at the scene to family members and friends, each offering their own perspective and memories of that fateful night. The jury must now sift through it all, separating fact from speculation and weighing the credibility of every witness and every piece of evidence. Their verdict will change lives and close a chapter in this high-profile case, bringing either relief or heartbreak to those who have waited so long for answers. The nation waits for their decision, as news outlets and social media buzz with speculation and anticipation. The final chapter is about to be written, and the outcome will echo far beyond the walls of this courthouse. The most serious charge Karen Reed faces in this case is second-degree murder, a grave accusation that carries enormous consequences for her future. Unlike first-degree murder, which requires careful planning and premeditation, second-degree murder does not require that the act was planned in advance. Instead, it centers on malice, acting with a reckless disregard for human life. For a conviction, the prosecution must prove that Reed acted with intent to kill, to cause serious bodily harm, or engaged in conduct so dangerous that any reasonable person would know it could result in death. Prosecutors highlight angry text messages and the alleged act of striking someone with an SUV as key pieces of evidence pointing to malice and intent. The defense, however, argues forcefully that there was no malice at all because, according to them, Karen Reed did not commit the act in question. Ultimately, it's up to the jury to decide, did the prosecution truly prove malice beyond a reasonable doubt, or is there uncertainty about what happened that night? If even a single juror is left with reasonable doubt about Reed's guilt, the law requires that they must acquit her of this charge. A guilty verdict, on the other hand, means a life sentence with the possibility of parole, a future forever changed. The stakes in this courtroom could not be higher for Karen Reed and everyone involved. In the end, the jury's decision on this charge comes down to a single powerful choice: guilty or not guilty. The next charge the jury must consider is manslaughter, specifically manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs. In this case, the prosecution has to prove several things beyond a reasonable doubt: that Reed was intoxicated, that she was behind the wheel, and that her reckless actions directly caused O'Keefe's death. If the evidence doesn't support all of those elements, the jury must then consider lesser charges, like involuntary manslaughter, which involves reckless conduct but not necessarily intoxication, or motor vehicle homicide, which is based on negligent rather than reckless behavior. Negligence means failing to use reasonable care that a typical person would exercise in similar circumstances. Even if the jury finds her not guilty of all homicide-related charges, they can still consider a simple OUI, operating under the influence, meaning driving drunk, regardless of whether anyone was harmed. Each step down this legal ladder offers the jury a different level of responsibility and consequence for Reed's actions. For every charge, the jury's decision must be unanimous, every juror must agree on the verdict. The judge will carefully guide the jury through each of these legal options, explaining the law and what must be proven. This process is methodical and deliberate, ensuring that every possible outcome is considered and that no detail is overlooked. The jury's verdict on these serious charges will have a profound impact on Reed's future and her life going forward. Their decision must be clear, unanimous, and based solely on the evidence and the law as instructed. The law demands careful, step-by-step consideration, ensuring justice is served in every aspect of the case. The final charge is leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. Massachusetts law requires drivers to stop, provide information, and help after an accident causing injury or death. The prosecution says Reed struck O'Keefe and knowingly drove away. The defense says she never hit him, so she couldn't have left the scene. The jury must decide if she knew or should have known she hit someone and then left. There are no lesser charges here, just guilty or not guilty. This decision hinges on what the jury believes about the events of that night. Their conclusion on this count will follow from their verdicts on the others. Now, the jury deliberates in private, tasked with reaching a unanimous verdict on each charge. Every juror must agree for a verdict to stand. They'll review evidence, debate, and try to reach consensus. If they can't agree, it's a hung jury and possibly a mistrial. When a verdict is reached, it will be read aloud in court, ending this chapter for Karen Reed and John O'Keefe's families. The weight of justice rests on these 12 citizens. Their decision will define the future for all involved. The nation waits for their answer. Justice now lies in the hands of the jury.